And Charlie Sykes, let's talk about Paul Ryan for a moment, because he's been notably, let's just say, ambiguous about his plans. There was a story saying that he was planning not to run for re-election. He was asked again today repeatedly when he was going to declare or whether he was going to declare for re-election, and he sort of skirted around it. So he hasn't shut the door on anything. He hasn't opened the door on anything. Do you think he's going to, that this is going to be his legacy moment, and he can see the handwriting on the wall as you go farther and farther down the road with this deficit hanging over their heads and the likelihood of entitlement cuts to try to balance this budget or bring the deficit down, and maybe preserve some possibility of running for president?
Yeah, I don't have any inside information here. I want to make that clear, but I think you're exactly right. This is really a legacy moment for Paul Ryan, and you know, to a certain extent, whether this becomes known as the Trump tax cut, this is really Paul Ryan who really drove this, and you'd see that moment of affirmation. I mean, think of all the compromises, think of all the things that he has overlooked to get to this moment, and this would be a high point. On the other hand, what you're seeing is Republicans who are feeling very emboldened, very empowered right now. It's possible that he would
Charlie,
also
let me
think,
just
look, if we got this done, we could
this,
actually get more done, too.
There goes the gavel. I think this bill is just now passed. Let's listen.
The unfinished business is on the vote on the motion from the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Dunn, to suspend the rules and pass H.R. 1159 as amended, on which the yeas and nays are ordered. The clerk will report the title of the bill.
H.R. 1159, a bill to provide for continuing cooperation between the National Aeronautics and Space Administration and the Israel Space Agency and for other purposes.
So they've moved on to further business, Charlie, and while we were talking, you can see what went on. You had the boards up. The House bill has passed. Again, the House has passed the bill again, and that's final passage on the tax cut. The biggest tax cut in 30 years. And I was one who said, having covered the 1986 tax cut, and it took several years and multiple hearings, months and months of hearings, Charlie Sykes, I did not think it could be done this quickly.
No, and that is an incredible accomplishment. But I also think that you know, there's a downside here to do something like this. I mean, think about the Reagan tax reform bill. That, number one, was revenue neutral. It took a very long time and had significant bipartisan support. None of that is the case here. This was done in secret. This was done very quickly. When you legislate that quickly, you know, who knows what all the unintended consequences are. And I think that's what concerns me. You know, how many little time bombs, how many unintended consequences? What will this do to the mortgage market? You know, will this backfire in terms of incentivizing companies to actually, you know, keep some of their plants overseas, as Senator Warner suggested to you a few minutes ago? So, you know, that's one of the problems. Look, Republicans do this. This is what conservative Republicans do when they get in office. They cut taxes. But this one has an awful lot of moving parts and unknowns, even as of right now.